If you missed any of the interviews this week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, including that Chris Sims interview yesterday, you can get them on the Dan Patrick Show app. Mercedes-AMG, the best or nothing. We bring in Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network analyst, and, of course, a former NFL scout. He's at the NFL Combine today. Let me start with what Chris Sims had to say yesterday. He said a few things, Daniel. This is what he had to say about the best quarterback in the draft.
I think the best quarterback in the draft is Lamar Jackson from Louisville. I mean, I know you're looking at me. I didn't think I was going to be saying that 2-3 days ago when I started in on this. I didn't. I started watching. I went Josh Allen 1, Baker Mayfield 2. Then I watched Sam Darnold. I watched Josh Rosen. And then I watched Lamar Jackson, and I came away and I write notes. I got my notebook. I could show you everything I write. And I came away and I said, Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback in this draft for me. He's the only one that has no questions. The only question you have about him is, can he take the beating and the way he plays in the NFL? But decision-making, throwing. Accuracy to a degree, but I would argue there a little bit. I mean, he doesn't get a ton of easy throws. He throws the ball down the field aggressively. All right. Daniel, what do you think of Chris Sims?
I think it's weird to be put in this spot, Dan, because I feel like I've been defending Lamar Jackson, because people say he needs to change to wide receiver. Now I got to put a different hat on and kind of slow the train down and say, well, wait a second. No, I don't think he's the best quarterback in this class. And I think when you look at some mechanical things, when you look at the accuracy, I mean, he does have some bad misses when you watch him on tape. Now I think he's a special athlete. He's got a strong arm. There is a lot to work with. But I think he's really, really raw, and it's going to take some time before he's ready to get out on the field. So, yeah, I didn't anticipate being put in that position, Dan. I feel like I've been defending Lamar Jackson for the last month.
Yeah, I've been saying he's going to be a first-round pick, and then all of a sudden Sims blows that up when he says, no, he'd be the number one pick. What's the big rumor at the Combine? What's the scuttlebutt?
Here's one for you, Dan. This is, again, take it with a grain of salt, but there's a lot of buzz around here saying, okay, Cleveland, it sounds like quarterback at number one. But then this one kind of took me for a loop. Said, don't be surprised with all the picks that they have if they double up at the quarterback position in the second round. So you take Sam Darnold at 1, you come back, go get another one. They got 3 second-round picks. Take another swing.
Oh, no. Well, then why not go 1 and 4 if you're going to do that and just take 2 quarterbacks?
Well, let's get that started then. You got a big audience here, Dan.
You got to get it right one of these times, so why not just draft 2 of these guys? Who's the best quarterback? Well, give me the first quarterback taken.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the same answer. I do think it's Sam Darnold.
Okay.
I've been rolling with him throughout the whole process, Dan. He can do everything you need to do. The kid's 20 years old. One of the aspects of his game that doesn't get talked about enough is that the college game, so much of it, Dan, is on the perimeter. And so people go, okay, this guy didn't turn the ball over. Well, yeah, you're throwing bubble screens and tunnel screens, and everything's to the perimeter. They don't ever work in the middle of the field and make those tight window throws, those big throws you got to make at the next level. And Darnold doesn't have any fear. Sometimes it works against him, but he's worked in the middle of the field. He's been able to sort through all that trash inside. So I think the adjustment will be a little bit easier for him than for some of these other guys.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how teams are assessing him because he did have fumble issues. I think last year people looked at him, everybody was looking at him last year as opposed to the year before, and they're like, that this was a great surprise. But I'm also thinking with him, he doesn't throw at the Combine. Is that a red flag for you as a former scout?
Look, you're always personally disappointed, but if I'm going to be honest, first of all, tune in. Please tune in because it's going to be must-see TV there. But no, to me, the personal workouts, the private workouts with the team would be the most important in kind of the postseason evaluation process. Then I would probably rank the pro day number 2, and then I would say throwing here at the Combine would be number 3. So it's not going to have a huge impact. Trying off the top of my head, I don't think Luck went number 1. Stafford didn't throw. You can go all the way back to Peyton and Eli. I don't think they threw either. So it won't have a big impact on him. But selfishly, yeah, I would have liked to see him throw.
How seriously do teams take hand size for their quarterbacks?
It depends. To me, it's like a minimum threshold, and it's just really kind of if you're over 9 inches, I don't think it's a big deal. Some teams, prefer if everything's close in the evaluation. Okay, you're like a guy with a little bit bigger hand to be able to handle cold weather and all that stuff. But to me, I think even John Dorsey said it. All the quarterbacks here that are in the mix, as the top tier guys, they all met the threshold they needed to meet.
What's on tap today at the Combine that we should be aware of?
Well, we got running backs, Dan. We got offensive linemen, and then we've got running backs going today. And the running backs, I was just looking through my notes on guys. I've got top 3-round grades on 10 different running backs.
Oh, boy.
So as good as last year's group was, I think we've got another group here today. You know, Saquon's established as the number 1 guy, but there's a big-time competition to be number 2 between Darius Geis from LSU, Ronald Jones from SC, Sony Michel from Georgia. It's going to be fun to watch those guys get out there on the same field, run around.
It feels like the 2 best players in the draft are a running back and an offensive guard, and they normally don't go number 1 in the draft, right? So,
yeah, no question.
How do you assess where Quentin Nelson goes, the guard out of Notre Dame, and where Saquon Barkley goes, given the fact of what the running back means to offenses now as opposed to 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can go around and talk to people in this building, and you'll get some people that are strong in their conviction that, hey, look at the top 10 backs over the last few years. They've been big hits. They've had a big-time impact. And you'll talk to other guys who will quickly point out the Jordan Howards, the Kareem Hunts, the Kamaras that you can find later. So, look, he's so clean. Saquon Barkley is so clean in every way. He's going to go way up there, and I think he's going to be a great player. Ozzie Newsome used to always say in our draft room, guys, in the first round, doubles are okay. We can't strike out. You're not going to strike out with Quentin Nelson. You're not going to strike out with Saquon Barkley.
Can you, if you're the Browns, take him number 1 overall?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we've got a list of it, Dan. I think the Browns have passed on 17 or 18 of the starting 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Find the guy that you like, have some conviction, and just take him. Stop passing on these dudes. You got to eventually take one.
What do you think the Vikings are going to do at the quarterbacking position?
Oh, I think he played for the Redskins last year, Dan.
Yeah, you think it's signed, sealed, delivered that you're getting rid of all your other quarterbacks and you're going to take Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're knocking on the door of being a Super Bowl team, and I think if you can upgrade at that position, you might be able to get over the hump. You got a new offensive coordinator coming in there. It kind of makes sense to kind of start fresh at that position. And if I was Kirk Cousins, just surveying all the different options that are out there, if the money's close, I'd be going to Minnesota.
As a former scout, what's the one thing, the most important thing you take away from the Combine, and what's the most worthless part of the Combine?
Well, oh gosh, that's a good one. The one thing you take away that has the most impact, which you won't see here, will be the medical grades, because it doesn't matter how good your grade is on a player. If the doctors won't let you take him, you can't take him. So that's an impactful thing. I always say on the field, workout wise, the corners, 40s. Look, you got to be able to run at that position. You can get away with a 4.6 kid at wide receiver. It's tough to play corner if you can't run. So that'll be the biggest test here. The overrated. I mean, Dan, if the quarterbacks if they want to like to bench, I mean, go ahead. They don't have to, but every now and then we'll get one guy that wants to show off and get in there and bench. And I always why are you doing this?
Yeah, but Saquon Barkley did that yesterday and put on a show.
No, running backs, I like my running backs to be strong and be able to bench. I don't really care if my quarterback can put up 225.
Okay.
If he puts it up 9 times or 14 times, that really doesn't affect his grade for me.
I was always taught that it's like 90% mental of the Combine with the interviews and just everything that kind of goes into it, the preparation. It's 10% of just your performance out there. Is that a fair ratio of the Combine?
Yeah, they get up so early in the morning and they're doing their weigh-ins. They're getting to doctor's appointments where you've got a million different doctors tugging and pulling on you. Then you're going through all these meetings with these teams and they grind you. It seems like the meeting room has turned into, let's see if we can get under this guy's skin. So when you're having to be on defense, for 3 hours in the evening and then you go to bed, you got to be up 5.5, 6 hours later to get out here and run. These guys can get pretty exhausted. If
you had one question to ask Baker Mayfield, what would it be?
Do you want to be a celebrity or do you want to be a great quarterback?
Do you think he'll be asked that?
Oh, I guarantee it. I guarantee you talk about pushing buttons. They're gonna do that. I mean, I give you an example of what that room can be like, Dan. I guarantee you some team went this route and said, okay, hey, Baker, at your size, there's 2 guys that have been really successful in the NFL. One is Russell Wilson and the other one is Drew Brees. And we've gone back through all of our notes. We don't have any video or any notes on either one of them running from the police, and we don't have any notes or any video of them grabbing their, stuff on TV. So how committed are you? Because those guys are psychopaths when it comes to preparation, work ethic. Are you putting yourself on that same level? They're going to try and push his buttons doing that kind of stuff.
Wait, you think that the question would be phrased that way in that one-on-one interview room?
Oh, no question. No question. Those guys, okay, they don't have the ideal size, so they've overcome that with just a crazy work ethic. Their character's off the charts.
But do you think they would say,
in on that.
These guys never ran from the police, Baker? How do you answer?
I guarantee you they will say that.
Have you been in the room?
That'll happen.
Have you pushed somebody's buttons when you were scouting?
I'm a nice guy, Dan. I don't do that, but I've been in there and I've seen it. I've seen.
What's the worst you saw?
I've been in there. I've seen a guy sit down, a defensive lineman, and shake everybody's hand and sit down in the room. And the first question to him after he's got a big smile on his face was, "Why do you play like such a coward?"
Wow.
And it was like, and I'm like, "Wow, whoa, okay, here we go." And I've been in a room where I've seen a player almost try and fight a coach. So. Yeah, that stuff, it gets interesting in there.
How did the player react when he was called a coward?
Usually, that's what they want to see, and he was upset, and he took it personally, and I think that's exactly what the coach wanted from the player. He wanted to see if it bothered him.
Did you draft him?
No, we didn't.
Okay, all right. Thought I'd pin you down there a
little.
One
of the famous ones. I don't remember which team, but there was a famous story about Jared Allen. People, the coach kind of got into him and went after him pretty good, and then Jared Allen almost came across the table and took a swing at him.
Oh, boy. All right, well, play nice at the Combine.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. Play nice today at the Combine, all right?
All right, thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Daniel. That's Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network analyst. You can follow him on Twitter at Move the Sticks. NFL Network providing exclusive live coverage of the NFL Scouting Combine today.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.